Good afternoon. My name is Naseem Zafar, and I will be the industry specialist who will be providing the webinar on all the web EHR and the practice management system changes. All right, so before we get started, there's a window over here or a question window on the right-hand side that you can find. And in this section, you can just type all your questions, whatever question you might have during the webinar. Make sure you type all your questions over here. And at the end of the webinar, we will hold a QA session, and all your questions will be answered at the end. All right, you can find this once again on the right-hand side of your screen, questions box or questions window. All right, here's a brief introduction and a notable aspects of MTBC. MTBC was founded in 1999 and currently serves over 70 unique medical specialties within 45 different states. And MTBC is also listed on NASDAQ. And at the moment, MTBC has operational facilities within 3 different continents. And of course, MTBC is short script certified solutions provider for electronic prescribing. All right, the first changes come in the web EHR section that we're going to cover. All right, so we have is assigned to users management. Okay, now this option has been enabled in the EHR settings. Now, from your EHR settings, what you can actually do is that you will be able to actually manage all your users that you want to have in your list. So, for example, anytime you are actually sending out messages to staff members, or in this section, as you can see under documents, messages, communications, tasks, and transcriptions, whenever you are assigning or sending a message to any of your staff members, you can actually include your own personal list. All right, so for example, if there are users that you want to exclude, or maybe you want to change the order, this is how you can change the order. So on the next slide, I'm going to just show you. All right, so coming into the EHR settings, under the option assigned to user setup, see over here, as you can see on the left-hand side, it has a list of all the users that are in the directory. All right, and on the right-hand side, this is going to be your current list. And keep in mind, every user will have a separate list. So right over here, this is selected users on the right-hand side. So this will be your current list once you're logged in with your user count. And of course, it gives you options of actually changing the order of the users, the sequence. And if you want to go ahead and remove them, you can just remove them by shifting these arrows to the left-hand side. So this option will be available to all the clients starting today onwards. And once again, this option is available under EHR settings by the name of assigned to user setup. And right over here, as you can see, this will actually take effect for the documents, the messages, communication, tasks, and the transcription section. Next section we have is called claims rights. Now you can actually, any system administrator or the office manager, if they want to go and limit or restrict the access for the claim section, that option has been enabled. All right, so a new feature has been introduced in the system where you can actually have all your users have the access of deleting a claim, modifying a claim, or even creating a claim. So this option will be available under the user management. So right over here, as you can see, this is what's been added. So for each individual user, of course, you can go and limit that access. All right, so moving on to the changes. And the next change we have is in the practice management system. All right, so keep in mind this change actually applies mainly in the practice management system. And this is going to be under the claim section. Now, anywhere in the insurance section or the patient demographics, anywhere in the demographic or the claim section, you will be able to add your own insurances under My List. Now, before there was the option of only searching for insurances based on all insurances and my state. Now you can actually add, or you have your option of having your own personal list, which is of course My List. And this is under the claim section. So right over here before, as I mentioned, there was the option of all and my state. So this option of My List has been incorporated in the system. The next change we have is it's in the Secure Sportscenter messages. Now before, of course, there was no option of actually changing the status of your messages if they have been read or not. So that option has been enabled. All right, so right over here is you will have an option of actually changing the status between the messages that have been read and the messages that are still unread. So right here, these options, first you got to, of course, select the box or select the message. And of course, it gives you an option of selecting multiple messages. All right, and then right over here, as you can see in this highlighted section, you can just choose, or it will allow you to actually select the option of mark as read or mark as unread. Okay, also another feature has been added in the Secure Sportscenter messages. All right, now whenever you generate messages or even respond to any of your messages, there is a spell check, auto spell check that has been added or enabled in the system. So of course, once you type your message, it will give you, anytime you spell or misspell a word, it will give you a red underlining indication letting you know that that word has been misspelled. And of course, from there, it will give you an option of selecting this box right over here. All right, and then once you click on that box, right away it'll give you an option of all the different words that you want to use, or the correct word. All right, now in the report, patient accession report, a new criteria has been added. All right, and of course that's based on the claim entry date and the date of service. All right, so before the only option that was available was actually searching based on the data service criteria. So you were only able to search for claims based on a certain date range that you select. All right, now you have two options that have been added. Well, you have a criteria based on the data service, and you have a criteria based on the claim entry date. And of course, it will show you a result for the provider that you have selected, and it will show you the same results based on data service for the provider selected, as well as for claim entry date that was selected against that provider. So I'm going to show you more information over here. So this is an example right here. This report criteria. This is what's been added. All right. So now you can actually, of course, search by claim entry date. As before over here, it will only give you options searching by provider, time frame, based on the date range, and the accession number. Now, of course, the first option is that has been added. It's claim entry date, and the second option is, of course, the date of service. All right. Addition of D-Dormant claims and patient billing report. All right, now in this section, of course, this option has been added where you can actually search for claims where patients owe you outstanding balances. So in case if a patient has an outstanding balance, from the drop-down menu, when you select the option D-Dormant claim, just like this, once you select that option, of course, it will show you a list of all your patients who owe you a certain balance. And if they owe you a balance, of course, it will give you two options. You can actually bill out the patient by checking the box, or you can, of course, write off that claim. So this option is under this status drop-down menu. Once again, it's D-Dormant claims. You can choose it, and it will show you the results for all the patients for all claims if they have some sort of outstanding balance. And you have these options of selecting whatever action you want to have taken against this claim, whether you want the patient to be billed or claim to be written off. All right, before we wrap up this webinar, we would like to inform all our attendees that MTBC has updated its ICD-9 ICD-10 conversion app. So besides having ICD-9 and 10 converted only in the MTBC Web EHR or MTBC Practice Management System, you can also use this lightweight ICD-9, ICD-10 converter on your iPhone or Android device. All right, and of course, this is the #1 rated ICD-9, ICD-10 converter app on Apple Store and Google Play. And of course, you can download it by searching the keywords, which are MTBC ICD-10 on Apple or Android store. All right, so if you have any questions on downloading or any issues for most part, you can always call tech support, and I'll provide you all the information in the next slide. All right, so meanwhile, if you have any questions, just once again type all your questions on the right hand side in the question box. And of course, you can always contact us in the future, info@mtbc.com. And of course, these webinars will be available at the URL that's listed in front of you. It's http://www.mtbc.com/resources/webinars. And of course, you can always reach MTBC through phone. And of course, tech support is available 24/7. You can call the number which is listed over here. It's 732-873-5133, extension number 102. And of course, tech support is available 24/7, 365 days a year. And this webinar will be available 1 week after the live webinar broadcast. Today's Thursday, so by next Thursday, this webinar will be posted on MTBC's website right over here in this webinar section. That pretty much wraps up the webinar. That's the conclusion of it. So anyways, any questions from any of our attendees? All right, so I'm going to just wait for about a minute. And if you guys have any questions in mind, just type them over here in this box, and I will, of course, answer those questions. Okay, so I see that there are no questions at this time. All right, so either way, in the future, if you guys have questions, you have all the contact information. All right, I want to thank you guys for joining the webinar, and thank you for your time. So I'm going to go and just sign off. Thank you.